If you own an independent hospitality business and are passionate about the food and drink and community and all of that, but hate the numbers, and if you're in a situation where your business isn't making as much money as you think it should, give me the length of time of this video, which is going to be all about the numbers that you need to know and master in hospitality. I'm going to make it fun, and I promise by the end of this video, you might even just like numbers as much as you like the hospitality side of things. Every independent hospitality owner starts on the same journey. They all start happy and smiley, okay? And the goal is that we want to get to a profitable business that runs when they're not there, okay? The sweet spot. The two things that go into that are, one, how much passion people have, and two, the structure behind the business. There's two ways that hospitality businesses tend to go. One, you can have all of the structure in the world and none of the passion, and what you end up with is basically a soulless chain that no independent wants to be. Or you have, more likely for an independent hospitality business, is you're heavy on the passion, not so much on the structure. And what we end up with is an expensive hobby. Okay, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, yep, that's me, totally normal. Most independent hospitality owners get into business because they are full of passion. They don't love the structure and they don't love the numbers. But if we want to get to the sweet spot of a profitable business that runs when we're not there, we need to blend that structure and that passion together. And the key to understanding the structure behind your business is mastering the 5 numbers that matter for your independent hospitality business. Not 500. There's only really 5 numbers that matter for your business, and we're going to go through them in this video. Let's start off nice and easy. The first number that we want to master is our sales. Okay, now sounds easy, sales, but actually it gets a bit more complicated than that, because we've got two things. We've got gross sales and we've got net sales. We've got gross is everything that comes through the till, and net being everything after VAT and service charge, and everything that isn't your money is taken off what comes through the till. And the number one issue that we find when talking to independent hospitality owners is everyone talks in terms of gross and what comes through the till, because it's the easy thing to see on your phone and whatever, but it lulls you into a false sense of security, and it ties you to a higher number that is not real, and it ties you to money that is not yours. And so if anyone that works with myself and Frankie at Packed House as we go through our Profit Pathway project, the first thing that we get people to do is we ban them from talking about gross sales. The only thing we are concerned about is what are the net sales of the business? What is your money? Okay, the net sales is money that you get to keep after VAT, after service charge, that you keep and you can use to pay your bills, to pay you, and to make profit. And the issue that comes when you talk and use gross sales is the big VAT monster. Okay, I'm not going to get into the trials and tribulations of UK hospitality and paying 20% VAT. I completely agree that it's wrong. I completely agree that it should be reduced. It's not. And so we need to figure it out. And what I want to do with this little section, this is kind of a side note to sales, is VAT, is because we see people come unstuck so much when it comes to VAT in their business. And so what we need to understand with VAT is, what does VAT stand for? It stands for value added tax. Okay, added being the key word in that sentence, value added tax. Just so happens that in the UK, we show prices to the customers with the tax included. If you've ever been to America, to any state in America, you'll know that if you go to a store, something will cost you $20, and then when you get to the till, it'll be $22, because there's 10% state tax, sales tax that's added on at the till. This 10% is essentially our VAT. But so when it comes down to it, if you're charging £20 for something, that is made up of £16 of the price that you set, plus £4, which is the VAT. And so that's what I want you to do. I only want you to think in terms of net sales. So that's our first number. Now, the next two numbers are what actually comprises of net sales. Net sales is the number of transactions or people, right, that come through your door, multiplied by how much they spend with you. Okay, this is the first number you want to know about. This is number 2. This is number 3. And they all play an important role with each other. If you're looking to grow your business and you're looking to grow your sales, the only 2 things that you can do to grow your sales is increase the number of transactions or number of people, or increase the amount of money that they spend with you each time they come in the door. But if you really want to focus on what's really, really going to grow the business and be in your control, I want to show you some examples of this. Okay, so let's say we increase the number of transactions by 10% and our average spend increases by 10%. We'd grow our sales plus 20%. That would be amazing, right? If we can do both, if we can have more people spending more, bob on, they add together, incredible. What would sometimes happens is we might increase the number of transactions or people by 10%. Our average sales, how much they spend each time they're with us, might go down by 10%. And so that means we don't grow, we stay flat. Or the number of people or transactions that come through goes down by 10%. But how much they spend, each person spends that comes through the door, goes up by 10%. We also, in that situation, stay flat. These 2 situations here, both are flat, or both are very different in terms of how you run in the cost base for your business. Because in scenario number 1, you've got more people through the door, i.e. you're busier, they're spending less, and you're not growing, but your cost base in that situation will likely increase. Your team will feel busier and you feel like you'll need more staff to service it. Whereas in this situation, you've got fewer people, so you're less busy, but they're spending more and you're getting the same result. Okay, and so when it comes to growing the business and what you can control, this average spend is where you want to focus your time and energy. Increasing the number of people, yes, that is a long-term goal. It takes a long time. Increasing how much everyone spends with you when they come through the door is the thing that will determine if you grow and if it's manageable growth, if you're able to add more money for the same amount or less work for your team. Okay, still with me? Cool. Numbers haven't completely blown your mind. This is how simple this is when you think about it in a good, fun, clear way. All right, first 3 out of the 5 numbers, we've got sales. It's really only one number, it's your sales. And what makes that up? Number of transactions, how much people spend. They're the 3 numbers that you should obsess over when it comes to your revenue. And they're the only things that make a difference when it comes to your revenue. Now, the next number is my favorite number in an independent hospitality business. And that is gross profit. Gross profit in an independent hospitality business is the oxygen of the business. Your gross profit dictates how much money you keep after food and drink purchases. For every dish or drink that you sell, how much money stays in your 4 walls. How big that is determines how much money you've got to spend on expenses, but also how much money you can pay yourself and how much profit you've got left over. When it comes to profitability in an independent hospitality business, gross profit needs to be the thing that you obsess over. And if you want encouragement or reason to obsess over it, do this exercise. Take your net sales, so after VAT, let's say we're £1 million business, okay? And want to multiply that by 1%. Okay, so for £1 million business, that is £10,000. Every 1% that you grow your profit, starting with your gross profit, assuming nothing else changes, you'll add £10,000 a year to your business. And so now you grow that by 5%, you grow by 10%. All of a sudden you're talking £50,000, £100,000 difference that's left in your bank account and get your bank account growing. And so it is so important as an independent hospitality owner to obsess over your gross profit numbers. And the great thing is, gross profit is completely in your control. It is how much dishes cost you to put together and how much you charge for them. They're the 2 things that go into gross profit. And so your job is to manage the cost and the price and make sure everything comes out in the wash and your gross profit is on point, because it is the oxygen of your independent business. And so that's 4 down, 1 to go. We've had sales, which is made up of number of transactions, how much people spend. We've then had our first profitability lever is gross profit and how it's the oxygen for your business. And then the next number that we're going to obsess over is our labor. Now, you'll have heard many people across the internet talk to you about different percentages and whatever. The one thing I want to get across to you in this video is when it comes to your labor percentage, the biggest mistake that we see people making, that they are calculating it incorrectly. And so when people do this incorrectly, they use gross sales and they use base labor. Okay. What this does is it inflates the amount of sales that you have in the business, which includes VAT, service charge, money that isn't yours, and it undercalls how much your labor actually costs you. And so in this situation, people will come to me and say, oh yeah, my labor's at 25%, and I'll know immediately that this is how they're calculating it. How you need to calculate it, and the realistic way to calculate it, is that you need to use net sales. Remember, we only talk in net, we don't talk in gross, and you need to use total labor cost, okay? And so that is your base labor plus holiday, national insurance, and pension, okay? And if you do that net sales and total labor, and you're an independent single site operator, if you're in the 35 to 40% range, you're doing a pretty good job. If you're above that, we know things need to change. If you're below that, Hail Mary, hallelujah, amazing. I'll talk about this total labor number because this is something that people don't often understand. If you pay someone £13 an hour as a base rate, the cost to the business is not £13 an hour. We need to add 12% for holiday, up to 15% for employers' national insurance, and up to 3% for pension. Okay, so that's up to as much as 30% on top of this £13 that's going to cost you to employ that staff member per hour. And that is your total labor cost. And so if you currently only think of per hour as your cost, take a step back and understand that it is the cost to the business is so much more than just how much you pay the hourly rate. And so those are our 5 numbers that if you become a master at these 5 numbers, your sales, made up of transactions and how much people spend, your gross profit, and your labor, you will not go wrong, okay? And it's not 1,000 numbers that your point of sale system gives you, it's 5 numbers that you need to focus on. But as always, we want to give you a bonus number because this one is going to be super important for you to understand if you need to grow sales or if you're in a good position. We look at this because I always have people come to us when they say, oh, I just need to get more sales through the door and everything will be okay. And yes, sometimes that's true, but oftentimes it isn't, and there's actually profitability issues in the business. So what we want to look at, the big test of if you need more sales, is rent as a percentage of turnover. Okay? Now let me explain. If your rent, for instance, say your rent costs you 50,000 a year, if your rent is between 5 to 10% of your net sales, so for a £50,000 business, that will be between 500k to 1 million. You're doing fine sales wise. Obviously, you want to be closer to the million, but you are doing fine sales wise. If you're between 500 and million, if you're at 750 or 800 and your rent is 50 grand, your big problem is not that you need more sales or you need more people through the door. You're actually delivering a revenue that is good for the site and the rent that you're paying. You need to focus on other numbers like gross profit and labor. Now, if in this situation your sales are 300k, then yes, absolutely, you need to be working on increasing your sales to at least that £500,000 mark in order for that site to actually be able to deliver you a profit and for you to be able to pay yourself properly. So that is a big thing that we want to look at is if you think I just need more people, take your rent and see what the revenue will be at 5 to 10%. If you're in that range, that's not your main issue. If you're outside that range, if you're below that range, then yes, you do need to focus on sales driving activities. And so there it is. I hope it wasn't totally boring. I know numbers is not what most people want to talk about with independent hospitality, but it is so, so, so important. We talk to people who've been 20, 30 years in the industry and don't understand these base numbers. And when it clicks, they just fly, okay? Hospitality is one of the hardest businesses to be in, full stop, whatever country you're in. And so not having a grasp on the numbers isn't necessarily acceptable or an excuse. So there's only 5 numbers you need to know. 6 if you look at rent as a percentage of turnover. Get great at those 5 numbers and make it fun, make it challenging for yourself. And if you really, really hate this stuff, reach out to somebody who can help you. It's an accountant, if it's someone like Packed House who can come in and explain these numbers and help you improve them, reach out to people and get help if numbers is not your strong point, because it is going to make such a massive difference to, one, how you feel from a stress level point of view, and two, how much money ends up in your pocket, which you're running a business is super, super important. And if you like this video on numbers, right, if you got through this and you liked it, I'm sure you're going to like our other videos. We've got ones on our menu, we've got ones on reducing labor costs, really helpful, practical stuff, and that's going to help you make more money in your independent business, because that's what we want for you. We want you to make the life and the business that you want. So if you enjoyed this, I know you're going to enjoy those ones. So go check them out, and we'll catch you on the other side.